Come on.
So guys, welcome back to Controversy Lab.
Where controversy is key.
I am your host, Lakel House.
I am RTJ.
Welcome to Controversy Lab. Yeah, so basically, today we're going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Jake Paul and Ben Askren. A lot of people don't know who Ben Askren is.
I was going to take it over.
Ben Askren is a world-class Olympian. He is a top-tier Collegiate 1 wrestler. He's one of the best in the world, best on the planet as far as wrestling is concerned. He's competed in the one championship. He's competed in Bellator, and he's even competed in the UFC. He's dominated damn near every sanction that he's actually transitioned to. With UFC having one major loss from Masvidal taking a knee to the head that knocked him unconscious, within 5-6 seconds of the first round. It was probably his worst loss ever, and one of the most and probably one of the most devastating highlight reels that we've ever seen in the UFC from a loss in the first round or any round. So he's facing up against Jake Paul, who is a YouTube celebrity. Used to be on the Disney Channel. He started on the Disney Channel and then eventually transitioned over to YouTube, became a YouTube celebrity. He has over 20 million subscribers on YouTube, which is absolutely fucking unreal. Him and his brother, Logan Paul, got into boxing when they challenged KSI and his brother Deji online, who Deji and KSI are also YouTube celebrities. They started off by playing FIFA online, and they also have multiple million followers. Now, what they did is, one thing I will say that is absolutely crazy is they came up with the great concept. We're celebrities. We don't like each other. Let's box.
That's a black guy, right?
Yeah, and they took it to YouTube. One of the first YouTube boxing matches ever, live stream, pay-per-view, and Logan Paul, KSI, I think they both made $100 million, which amateur fighters, their first fight ever, they broke world records across the board as the highest paid, unranked boxers ever in the history of fucking combat sports. So the difference is between Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Jake Paul was like, wait a minute. There's something here, dude. You literally made $100 million in one day? Oh, there's something here. So Jake Paul chose to stick with it. He went on to fight KSI's sparring partner. Then after that, he fought the basketball player.
Nate Robinson
just had to alley-oop to get you in the conversation.
He said alley-oop basketball.
Yeah, so he fought Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson never actually boxed a day in his life, got his ass beat. And here's the thing though. My prediction for this whole fight is, I'm a fighter. I've been fighting. Well, I've been an actor for a while, but collectively I've been training in Muay Thai for over 15, 16 years. Done MMA on and off, done jiu-jitsu on and off, a lot of no-gi, competed in competitions. Also a little bit of boxing. My first stand-up coach, I had several stand-up coaches for Muay Thai. One of my coaches, Walker Atrice, was a boxer. So I did a lot of boxing with Walker. Also with my brother LJ, we went to a lot of different boxing gyms, and we did some cross-training. We had fights coming up. So from experience, right, this is from the perspective of someone who's an experienced fighter. Muay Thai does not translate to boxing. MMA does not translate to boxing. Case in point, Conor McGregor trying to fight Floyd Mayweather, we see they do not translate over. Me fighting for 16 years in Muay Thai, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I can get in the ring with a boxer and dominate him, because they're two different disciplines.
Okay, but now, just because Jake Paul boxes, does that make him a boxer? Because Jake Paul is different from, you brought up the comparison of Conor and Floyd. Jake Paul is not Floyd. Or Logan Paul, whichever one it is. Jake Paul is not Floyd.
No, Jake Paul is definitely not a Floyd Mayweather. But the difference is Jake Paul has been dedicating way more time and has way more boxing fights than Ben Askren, even if it's only 3 fights. So my point is, you have Jake Paul, who's 3-0, against Ben Askren, who is 0-0.
How long has Askren been fighting, period?
Askren has been competing in grappling and, his whole life, right?
Okay, so
But this is why I said the two do not correlate together.
Okay, listen, let me continue to ask questions. Okay, but you specialize in what type of fighting specifically?
Me?
Yeah.
Muay Thai, MMA.
Muay Thai,
Jiu-Jitsu.
okay. But you did do cross training in boxing, right?
Yes.
So you don't think in his over however long he was doing it, he also cross trained sometimes for his fights?
Looking at his pad work, fuck no.
Okay.
His pad work is Ben Askren. His pad work is terrible. His pad, because I look, when I was training for 6 months, the owners, well, not the owners, but the manager of the gym approached me and said, we want you to start teaching because we noticed like your discipline, how hard you train, and the fact that in 6 months, like you look better than half of the motherfuckers in here.
Okay.
Right? So the difference is I became, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to say that I transitioned very quickly over to teaching. So looking at people's body positioning, looking at how they throw punches, looking at combinations. Early on in my 16-year career, I started to see people, right, how they throw punches, how they, and I had to be able to correct them to help them get better. So watching Ben Askren's pad work, I can literally tell you, all the years that he's trained and fought in MMA, he hasn't really focused on a lot of stand-up. And when you go back and you look at his fights, that's why predominantly he's a wrestler. Everything that he's trained was to avoid the punches to get the takedown, to avoid the kicks to get the takedown. So yes, I agree with Ben Askren when he says, oh, you know, my whole life I've been in the ring with trained killers. He ain't no trained killer. True. You've been in the ring with trained killers that play to your strength, which is taking them to the ground. And that's how you won your fights. You can't take him to the ground because it's a boxing match.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I understand. Yes, I understand all that. Have you seen his training for this fight?
Yes. It looks terrible. It looks horrible. His stand-up, his pad work looks horrible. Horrible. If he takes that shit in the ring with Jake Paul, he is going to get knocked the fuck out.
So your money's going on Jake Paul?
Yes. I hate to say it, but the issue is because Ben Askren is a wrestler. The only thing I foresee Ben Askren doing is surviving until the later rounds. Knowing how to protect himself, being able to take the punches, being able to go the distance. The only way Ben Askren wins this fight is if he can take Jake Paul to the later rounds, get him tired, and then maybe, you know, get a TKO or something. If Jake Paul gasses out or some crazy shit.
His conditioning. You don't think his conditioning is good enough to where he can get into those later rounds and land something good? Let me ask you.
I don't foresee Ben Askren having the power to do that.
If both of if one has more energy than the other, I don't need much power.
I think Jake Paul's punches are way more explosive than Ben Askren's punches. Ben Askren can't punch.
But how's his defense? How's Ben Askren's defense?
Ben Askren's defense is heavily leveraged to MMA. Ben Askren's defense is leveraged towards I'm going to take you down.
Okay, so has Ben Askren ever when he's participated in MMA, did he ever fight somebody who was a boxer base? I guess is the right question.
I haven't watched all of Ben Askren's fights. I've never been because I'm not a huge fan of wrestlers because I didn't fucking wrestle. So for me, I was never really super excited about watching Ben Askren. Okay. The couple fights that I did see from Ben Askren, he is phenomenal on the ground. He's a fucking Olympian. He's a world-class champion as far as grappling. You know what I mean? So for me personally, because I didn't wrestle, I don't draw a lot of interest from seeing wrestlers grapple. You know what I mean? Like I like to watch jiu-jitsu guys and boxers, Thai guys. That's really, my interest. So, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, like, because he doesn't have any boxing matches. This is the issue, right? So even though Jake Paul has 3 fights, the problem for Ben Askren is this. As an amateur boxer, there's a reason why amateurs wear headgear. There's a reason why amateurs get heavier gloves. There's a reason why amateurs have 3 rounds. And they work their way up. So now he's jumping straight into a boxing match with Jake Paul, who of course has 3 fights. You know what I mean?
Okay, so now I'm thinking about this. So you said Jake Paul's first fight was against the guy his
Deji.
brother fought.
It was against KSI's brother Deji.
But was he a boxer?
No. But Jake Paul and Deji were both 0-0. Okay. They were both 0-0. Okay. And they wore headgear.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So people would say, well, why would Ben Askren wear headgear? He's a fucking professional. I understand that.
But he's not a professional boxer.
He's not a professional fucking boxer, right? So even Conor McGregor transitioned over and didn't wear headgear, which is fine. He fought against Floyd Mayweather. He didn't wear headgear. But Conor McGregor from my opinion, he had a solid base of stand-up He's a stand-up fighter. He can grapple too. He can do jiu-jitsu. But he was a capoeira. He studied capoeira. He studied Muay Thai, studied boxing. So he could stand on his feet and fight. Now, Jake Paul did approach Conor McGregor, and when he initially wanted to fight Conor McGregor, the reason is because Conor McGregor pulls numbers. When Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, that was the biggest fucking payday of Conor McGregor's life. The fuck was that? Your Zuntite? What the fuck?
I tried to hold it in.
Never heard a fucking sneeze like that. But Jake Paul initially wanted to fight Conor McGregor because Conor McGregor is the cash play, right? I would fucking go after Conor McGregor too. He's the fucking cash play. Like the money that he pulled in the Floyd Mayweather fight is unfucking real. Conor McGregor, that changed his life. He didn't have to go back to MMA if he never fucking wanted to for the rest of his life.
Start
right?
spending that money though.
So the point is, that's why Jake Paul went towards Conor. Conor didn't want to take the fight, rightfully so. I guess Conor's like, look, I'm not going to take that fucking risk. I have everything to lose. He has everything to gain. I feel you, Conor. Me personally, I would have took the fucking payday. But, it is what it is. So,
and also I want to look at it from this aspect. Is it 100% boxing rules, period?
Yeah, it's boxing. It's boxing. Boxing rules. No takedowns, it's boxing. So, my thing is, I feel like Ben Askren is not really well equipped for this fight. A lot of people in the MMA world are saying, you know what, Ben Askren, if you lose this fight, we're fucking disowning your ass. You got to go in there and take care of business. You're the
Why
first.
Why are they fighting in the first place?
Because Jake Paul called out Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor wouldn't fight. So Ben Askren, who was the number one shit talker in the UFC, started talking shit about Jake Paul. Jake Paul was like, fuck it, I'll fight you. There was another fighter, I forgot the other guy that he was calling out that backed out and didn't want to fight him, who was another MMA fighter. And then so Ben Askren was like, fuck it, I'll fight you. And then Jake Paul was like, no, I'm sorry. After the other guy backed out, Ben Askren was talking shit back and forth with Jake Paul. Then Jake Paul called him out and was like, I'll fucking fight you. Ben Askren's like, cool, let's get it done. So that's pretty much how it happened. So it wasn't a situation where he chose Ben Askren initially. He chose Conor McGregor, but Conor McGregor wouldn't take the fight. Jake Paul was talking shit about his wife, trying to get him. Yeah, he was doing everything.
Conor's wife?
Yeah. He was doing everything he could to get Conor to take the fight. But Conor was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not. And I think Conor's perspective was more like, I have more to lose than I do to gain from actually winning this fight. So I don't want to take the fight.
Yeah, because if Conor would have took that fight, I wouldn't have gave him props. If I would have known anything about it, I wouldn't have gave him props for it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, if I beat a Jake Paul, like, where are the accolades? Me fighting a Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, I literally went from Floyd to
Jake Paul.
Yeah, I wouldn't have.
The money was there though. Jake Paul offered him a sweet deal.
What is a sweet deal? I just made.
I think it was
$100 million.
I think it was something close to like 50 million, 75 million, something like that. It was a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah, just sign a contract, yeah. Yeah. Jake Paul held the fucking check up. We'll give you 50 million or some shit like that. 50, 60 million to take this fight. Conor was like, no.
Oh. But and okay, let me ask you this. So you
coming to me offering me $50 million. You're talking shit about my wife.
You're saying that you're saying
my
that
nigga
there's
signed
no chance that
the contract. Because we fighting.
Ask you?
You talking shit about my wife. You bringing me 50 million. Sign the contract. We fighting. I'm sorry, it's just me.
Okay. You're saying that there's no chance for Ben to actually win the fight?
No, I don't think so.
What you gonna do if he does?
He's not.
You want to put $1 on it?
Yeah, we can bet.
$1.
$100.
I want $1. I got 2 kids and a wife.
Ben Askren is not winning this fight. Unfortunately, Ben Askren is not winning this fight because he's a wrestler. His stand-up,
I understand what you're saying, but
his stand-up, and it's not just the fact that he's a wrestler. It's the fact that his stand-up looks like shit. He has no footing, no placing.
When is this fight taking place?
No power. I think it's in a couple days.
Oh.
He has no footing. I mean, Ben Askren he looks terrible. He looks just absolutely terrible. So my money is on Jake Paul. I hate to say that because I am a fucking legitimate fighter and I don't want to side with the YouTube celebrity who's boxing. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul wins this fight. There's no way that I see Ben Askren winning this fight. The only way I see Ben Askren winning this fight is if, he takes Jake Paul to the later rounds and he gets maybe lucky. But Ben Askren does not have the knockout power.
Holy shit.
To knock out a Jake Paul. What?
This Saturday.
Yeah. So the fight's this Saturday, So the fight's tomorrow. I have my money on Jake Paul, unfortunately, because Ben Askren is just a bad fight for him. But at the end of the day, my money is on Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul takes the win only because Ben Askren, to me, his stand-up looks like shit. He's not a stand-up fighter. He's a grappler. He's a world-class Olympian when it comes to grappling and wrestling. I give him that. If this was an MMA fight, I will go Ben Askren all day. All fucking day. But being a fighter, and even me, with 16 years experience in Muay Thai, when I transition over to go spar with boxers and we're doing hard sparring, it's just different, right? Their output is different. Their movement is different, and they throw more punches. Us Thai fighters and MMA fighters, we don't throw as many punches as boxers. And that's my next point. We don't throw as many punches as boxers. Boxers average 200-300 punches per round, 400. You got to see top level elite fighters in the UFC that are throwing with a high output like that, right? And so just generally, Ben Askren transitioning over to boxing and boxing Jake Paul. I'm not saying Jake Paul can throw 200 punches around, because people are saying we got to compare Jake Paul to where he is, and he ain't throwing 200 punches around. I agree with you. But the difference is Jake Paul has more power than Ben Askren. And I see him knocking out a fucking Ben Askren. And if he doesn't knock him out.
Punching power.
Yeah, he has better punching power than Ben Askren. But, end of the day, let us know in the comment section what you guys think about who you guys got for the fight. I got Jake Paul, unfortunately. I hate to say that, but Jake Paul wins this fight. So, RTJ has Ben. So let us know in the comment section who you got for the fight. Let us know in the comments what you got for the fight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube.
All social media platforms.
Hit the notification bell so you guys stay up to date with all the videos that we drop in the future. And we hope to see you guys in the next episode of Controversy Lab.
Controversy out.
And this bitch motherfucker got it right.
Why he call me a bitch, y'all? He be hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Just hurt my feelings.